All right, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving weekend. I thought we'd do just a little video about hubs. Bolt pattern, spline count, offset, backspacing. I mean, there's just a lot of terms out there that if you're not familiar with all of them, some of them mean the same thing. Some of them, are just maybe depends on where you live. Here in the South, we make up a lot of our own words, and you'll probably hear some of those here today. But that being said, let's kind of get into this and kind of figure out. I ran into an issue with my 200S that kind of brought up a situation where I needed to make a decision on which direction to go with the rear hubs, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the rear wheels of your ATC and also your four-wheelers, your ATVs. So I'll explain to you the situation I have with the 200S and the decision I made, and then that will kind of lead us into hubs and the differences and so forth. So I have a 1985 200S. It recently just came in, and this is it here. And someone had put on 3-lug hubs off of an ATC 70, which corresponded with these 3-lug wheels. So let's just talk about lugs. When somebody says lugs, that we're referring to how many bolts hold the wheel on, or how many studs, lug nuts go on lug studs, and that's what these would be. This machine should have had 4-lug, should have actually had these on it. And this is an original hub for the 200S. As you see, it has a 4-lug pattern versus a 3-lug pattern. But what's the difference when you get into these other 4-lug patterns? Well, what we have here, this is a 4 bolts on 130 bolt pattern. It's very limited. Came out on the 110, the 125, and the 185, and some 185, and the 185S was this bolt pattern. You're pretty limited to a 8-inch wheel. The 3-lug pattern, you're pretty limited to the ATC 70s, which you can get a 7 or 8-inch wheel. You can't get much bigger than that just because they don't offer it. You may find some out there, but they are very hard to find. This is a 200X. This is a hub. This came off of a factory 200X. It's a 4 on 110 bolt pattern. The same as this. This is a 4 on 110 off of a 300EX or a 400EX. And the first thing we need to talk about when it comes to hubs, because everybody wants to swap hubs, is when you swap hubs, you are committed to whatever that bolt pattern is for your wheel. So if you've got a 200S and somebody tells you to put on different hubs, know that you've got to change the wheels to match those hubs if they don't already have the same bolt pattern, which they probably won't. With our 200S here, I wanted this machine to be relatively original. And so I wanted the right hub on here. I didn't want the 3-lug hub. I could have just got rid of these ugly tires and put some tires on here, but the wheels are all kind of jacked up, and it's 3 lugs, and it just, I didn't like it. I didn't want to, if I keep this machine for a little while, I want it a certain way, and this is not the way I wanted it. If I sell it, I want it right to the next guy too, so he doesn't have to worry about wheels not matching, not being able to rotate front to back. On this particular machine, the front bolt pattern is the same as the rear. That doesn't always hold true, especially with your sports machines. So back to hubs. So what I ended up doing is on the 200S, I wanted to keep it original. So I actually went on eBay and I tracked down a set of really nice hubs. As you see here, hub just slides right on it and you're good to go. So now this machine would accept the factory wheel. But let's say you're looking on Marketplace and you find a really good set of, say, some 300EX wheels, and you want to put those on your 200S. How do you go about that? Well, first thing you do is you want to buy a hub. So track down a hub that has the same bolt patterns, which is the 4 on 110. This is the most popular, most common bolt pattern in the Honda world. Really moving forward, even modern day, I believe even some of the side-by-sides have this bolt pattern. So you can take a 400EX hub or a 200X hub, and you come over here to your 200S, and you can slide it right on, bolt it on, and now you can attach your 300EX wheels on your 200S. It's just that simple. Now, a couple things. Hubs can gain offset without running spacers. I'm not a huge fan of spacers. You can get factory hubs that actually gain offset. The wider your rear axle is, or your offset on your wheels, the more stable your machine's going to feel underneath you, especially in the corners. You can go too far. Now they make plus axles. They're pretty pricey. They're kind of hard to find, but you can get axles in a +2, a +4, or a +6. This is kind of poor man's way of having a +2 or +4 axle. So what we've got here, we've got 4 different hubs across the table here, and if you look close, the mounting flange, which would be the face of the hub, on these two are almost identical in height. If you look at the 200X, the 200X is actually just a little bit lower. If you look at a 300EX or 400EX, same hub, you see we gain the difference between here and here. We gain almost a full inch of offset, so that would be an inch to the right and an inch to the left. And if you really want to get nasty, you can do that. And that is a Tusk +2 hub. And you see that the mounting flange, or the face where the hub would sit, or where the wheel would sit, is a full 2 inches higher or further out on these aftermarket hubs. These are both 4 on 110, so they accept the same wheel, but you'll gain 4 inches. That's 2 inches to the left and 2 inches to the right. That same hub, as crazy as that is, because it's the same spline, will slide right on your 200S and then allow you to run the more popular 300EX wheel in this case. So you can go to Marketplace and you can find cheap 300 and 400EX wheels and tires. All you need is a hub. The hub, 4 on 110 bolt pattern, will slide right on the same spline on your 185S, your 200, your 200X, your 200S, your all of them. 125Ms, 185Ss, 185s, all those axles have the same spline count and size. So in a comparison, if you look at the back of this machine, I know it's tilted, so I'm going to tilt my camera. If we look out here, that big tire is tucked all the way in underneath that fender on the left side. But if we go over here, almost half the tire is now sticking out past the fender. Yeah, you're going to get more dirty, but you're going to have a wider footprint on the track or trail wherever you're riding. You're going to feel way more stable. So huge benefit to spacers and hubs. I like hubs better than spacers when I can find them. There's aftermarket companies out there. Vito is a company on eBay. You can pick up an aftermarket set of hubs. That's what these are. They are copies of the 400EX hub, but they are not factory, they're aftermarket. Picked these up a couple years ago on eBay. They're really not that expensive for what you get. In this situation, we gained about 2 inches in total. Today, I'm putting the Tusk +2s on there, which is going to net us 4 inches total on the 250R. All right, guys, let's take it to the board. There's a lot of information here. It's a lot to cover. I'm going to try to cover it all. Bear with me. Always a great resource for this kind of information is threewheelerworld.com. Look them up. Go over there, join, make an account. It's free. Read. You don't even have to join to read. You can learn so much over there, so much more than I can teach you here. But here's kind of the highlights and kind of an overview when talking about hubs and wheels and offset and spline count and all that kind of stuff. All right, so here we are on the board. Remember, we're talking about the rear wheels of your three-wheeler. So first and foremost, spline count. All of the three-wheelers have 24 spline axles except the liquid-cooled 250R and the 350X, which is 85 and 86. Those have a 25 spline axle. So what that means is you can't swap hubs between those two machines and the rest of the three-wheeler universe. It just ain't gonna work. Now, that being said, as for everything else, the 24 spline is very, very common and popular across even other manufacturers. That being said, you can take a hub off of a US 90 or an ATC 70 and put it on a 200X if you wanted to. Mixing and matching between different models will net you different widths. creating different offsets for wheels, for wheel spacing. If you want to bring the wheels in or push the wheels out, you can play within the world of three-wheelers, factory parts. You don't have to go aftermarket. In general, I'm going to kind of give you some general guidelines. If you've got 3 lugs on your machine, then you have a 3x100 bolt pattern. That stands pretty much universal, and what that is those are kind of the early versions. It's the early ATC 70. It's the first year 250R that had those 3 lugs. There's some 3-lug early 110s out there. Honda was using a lot of 3 lugs. This information is mostly going to talk about 4 lugs. 4 is the most common. There's 3 common 4-lug patterns within the three-wheeler universe. You have the big 4x150. You're going to find that on the 200M, the 200ES, and the 200E. That's going to be the largest distance between those 4 lugs. It's the largest hub. They only used it in those machines that I can think of off the top of my head, and those machines will come with a 9-inch wheel. Keep in mind, when you change hubs, more than likely you're going to have to change wheels. Be sure that your bolt pattern matches if you plan on keeping one or the other. They've got to match. So if you see a 9-inch wheel laying around, more than likely it's going to have the 4-on-150 bolt pattern. All right, that being said, the next common bolt pattern is a little bit smaller. It's the 4-on-130, and you're going to find that on your 2nd gen, if you will, because they changed the 110s. They came out with 3-lug and then they went to 4. So the later version 110s, later version 125s, M's, 185. You see where I'm going with this. All the way up through the 185S, you will find a 4-on-130 bolt pattern. You will also find that bolt pattern on the 200S. Now, I have seen some 200s that have the 4-on-110 bolt pattern, so you're going to have to kind of check that. That's going to be the kind of the caveat here. You still got to check it, guys. But this is kind of general information. You will find the 4-on-130 pattern. Those machines will come with 8-inch wheels. Very popular. There are some 9s out there. Again, the earlier ones came with the different bolt pattern, and I believe in 1980, 185, no S, has the 9-inch wheels, but it also has the 25-inch tall tires. And that kind of goes in with something else. Your hubs have to match your wheels, but your wheels are going to kind of dictate what tire you have. Not every tire size is available in the same wheel size. So what I mean by that is, if you got 25s, you may not be, you're going to be hard pressed to find a 25-inch tall tire that fits an 8-inch wheel. That's why a lot of guys, when they run an 8-inch on the front and 9s on the back, or vice versa, they can't get tires to match because you can't find them, or they're very hard to find. So that's what we ran into with this 200S. I wanted the wheels to match, I wanted the tires to match, and I wasn't willing to run bigs and littles, if you will, front and back. So as a general rule, your 4-on-130 machines will run an 8-inch wheel, tire size between the 22. That being said, the next most common, which became the standard in off-road Hondas, going forward, is the 4-on-110 pattern. Now that goes all the way back to your 2nd gen Rs, your 200Xs. All of them ran the 4-on-110 pattern, but those hubs did change. Just your big reds, your 250 SXs, just everybody, bigger machines ran the 4-on-110. It has become the standard. If you have a machine that has the 4-on-110 hub, then you can run 300EX and 400EX wheels and 450R wheels. They will bolt right on your 4-on-110 hub. Now, we've kind of gone over this in a couple different ways. You can take a modern 300EX or 400EX and put it on your US 90 or your 185S or your 200 or whatever. You can put it on there. That will convert the rear of your machine to 4-on-110, and that's going to open you up to half of marketplace has got 4-on-110 wheels on it. You can find modern wheels in aluminum, different sizes. The 4-on-110 pattern, you can pick up an 8, a 10, an 11. If you want to put some Recon wheels on there or some Ranger wheels, whatever you're doing. 12-inch wheels on up into your custom S&S wheels, like your 14-inch wheels. 4-on-110 is the standard to go to nowadays. When you're dealing with hubs, earlier in this video, I kind of showed you the different heights of the hubs. All of your hubs are going to stop right here on your axle. And then based on how far out they go is going to change the offset, or how much width you're going to gain left and right of your machine. Now, you can cheat it a little bit and go with a bigger hub, like I showed you the big Tusk. You can get to a point where it's too wide. We had the 200X come in, the 84 I believe, had the bald paddle tires. That had a +6 axle, and on top of that, it had some Douglas wheels that had a very, very reversed offset, or a negative offset, and kicked those wheels way out. That thing did not want to turn at all. It just wanted to go straight and plow the front tire. So be mindful, most guys will probably go +2, maybe +4, and be comfortable with that. Much more than that, and you're hanging a tire out there catching a tree or a fence post or something, so be careful about that. Mentioning offsets and wheels, the majority of your three-wheeler wheels or rims, depending on what you want to call them, have a center offset, meaning the mounting flange of the wheel is always centered in a three-wheeler wheel. And that reason that is so you can take those wheels and you can put it on the front or you can put it on the back. The offsets had to be the same for that to work out. That's not true in aftermarket wheels. You pick up Douglas wheels, unless they are specific to be center offset or a zero offset, you're going to find them that their offset is generally favored to the back a little bit by generally 1 inch. So you could pick up, say, an 8x8, and what it would be 3x5 offset, meaning the wheel would stick out a little bit further because of where that face is meeting or where that hub is met to the drum of the wheel. But if your wheel comes in and it's off negative back this way, then when you bolt your wheel onto your hub, it's going to stick out a little bit further. So a lot of guys will find your 300EX wheels and your 400EX wheels are not centered. You can take those wheels, they have like a 3x5 offset, and so you can take your hubs off of a more modern four-wheeler, put them on your three-wheeler, and then mix in some aftermarket wheels and gain even more width on the back of your machine. And I think that pretty much covers it. Your standardized wheels, what machines come kind of with what wheels. It's not always true. I'm generalizing here. You need to look and see what's on your machine, but as a general rule, this is kind of the breakdown, and these are the hurdles that you run into. All right, guys, I'm a little far from the camera here, but I got a machine tore down right in front of my big board. So y'all know it always comes down to dollars and cents here. You know, we try to keep them as original. We want to stay as close to that as we can. But, you know, a little custom every now and then is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if we can get it for little or no additional cost. And so what I did is I've got my 85 200S on the board here, and I'm kind of breaking it down, what I paid for the machine, what things are going to cost me. And I kind of came to a crossroads. I could either go back and put some 4-on-110 hubs on this that I already had in the shop. I could throw on some 300EX wheels and I could rock it that way, but I was still going to want to buy a front wheel that was aluminum, and I was still going to buy a new front tire because that front tire that's on there is garbage. And so I was spending quite a bit of money getting one wheel and one tire for the front. I try to always cost out everything I do, even if it's a part that I have in-house. And so what I ended up doing was, we gave $400 for the machine. Remember, it wasn't running. We brought it in. If I bought just a front wheel, they're $90 aluminum. Douglas does make a centered aluminum wheel for that machine in the correct bolt pattern, 4-on-130, so we can put it on the front, and that's a win there. I was going to allot $40 for rear hubs because that's what they would have cost if I had to go out and buy them. I needed a front tire, about $100. We did an air filter, quarter oil, and rear wheels and tires, which I was going to already have here in house, but they're going to be used. They're going to be used wheels and tires. So I allotted $100 for them if you were to pick up used wheels on Marketplace. And I got to thinking I was going to have $770 in this machine. I was going to have mixed match wheels, used tires on the back, this shining front new one on the front, and I just didn't think that was going to go to market and get everything that I could in return for that. So I started looking around, and I found a company on eBay, ATV Galaxy, I believe is who they are. They sell Sun F tires and a couple other different brand tires and Douglas wheels that fit this machine as a kit. And so what I ended up doing was we took our same $400 for the machine, and for $509, I was able to track down 2 very nice original equipment hubs with the 4 on 130 bolt pattern, and 3 brand new tires already mounted up on 3 brand new Douglas wheels. I still pull over my $30 for my air filter, my $10 for my oil. I got $9.49 going to be invested in this machine when it goes to market. I will add another $12 to this because I put grips on there. I just think if you can put grips on a machine, it's always going to look that much better. So we're still in at under $1,000 in this machine. And let me open these up. I hadn't opened them up yet. Let's see what they look like together. I've shot this video twice. That's why I've changed clothes, as you can tell, because the tires and wheels showed up today. And I figured y'all wanted to see those. So let's check them out. Now again, I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get anything in return for this. But I wanted to go with a factory size tire with a factory size wheel, which is the right offset. And so now we have a full set of polished aluminum. These look great. Wheels that came in, and how they shipped that packaging on that said that combination weighed 55 pounds. I just toted it out here to the shop, I believe it. But there we go. 22 by 11 by 8s, which is the correct tire and wheel for this machine. It's the right offset. They're not going to stick out funky. Everything is like it's supposed to be, except they're going to be polished aluminum wheels. And when I get done with it, it's going to look great. And I know some of you go, well, that's almost $200 more, and it is. But if you don't have the time or the equipment to mount tires, for that $200, they're coming to you. They're clean. I don't have to clean and paint that wheel that's on the front of this thing. I don't have to break that old tire down. I got to tell you, breaking an old tire down is worse than mounting up new tires any day of the week. You don't have to mount up 3 new tires. These are going to look perfect. All right, well, I hope I showed you some different ideas, different ways of kind of going about getting your width the way you want it on the back of your machine. You know, a lot of this applies to the four-wheelers too, aftermarket wheels, spacers, all that still applies. But the three-wheelers, we can take advantage of some modern products, you know, and parts, and put on our older machines and kind of make them the way we want them to. But I cannot get over, you guys, it took me 15 minutes to bolt them on. You're not going to do that if you're breaking down wheels and tires from 34 or 5 years ago by hand in your garage. You know, money's money, but time is money also. And in this instance, like that, and they're changed. It's just that simple. I think I made the right decision to put the correct hubs on the back of this machine. That way going forward, let's say, you know, one of them purists ends up with this thing and they want to put the steel heavy wheels back on it. The bolt pattern is going to be correct. It's going to be the 4 on 130, and they don't have to go through the hassle that we did to kind of figure that out if you didn't already know. I think it's just the right thing to do for this particular machine. It's such a nice looking machine. That's an original seat, original Honda line rack. I think it's the first Honda line rack I have ever had on a 200S. And I have had many 200S's, very popular. It's got the right size tires. It doesn't have those big 25-inch tall tires. It just looks correct. It just, all the proportions on that machine look very good to me. I like the 200S. It's one of those ones, like all of them, you get them and then you don't want to sell them. But I'm going to have to sell it. So I think I made the right decision. What do you think? Put it down in the comments. Did I make the right, should I put the 300EX wheels on it and save $200, you know? Or did I do the right thing? When that goes to, I haven't even washed it yet, guys. Wait till I get this thing washed up and detailed like it should be. when it hits marketplace, it's going to be the belle of the ball. She looks good just like she sits. We've changed the oil. We've got a new universal or uni filter in it. Whoever, whatever. You and I filter. You and I in a filter. That's what I put on it. And so it's ready to go. We've got a fresh oil change. I'm not going to worry about the headlight. I know it's not the correct headlight, but it works. It looks good on there. I'm not going to change a thing. I think a detail, and it's ready to hit marketplace. And we will do very good. With the grips put on it, we are still under $1,000. We've got $949 with $12 worth of grips. So we got $960 in this machine right here. We'll take it to market. I think with those wheels and tires, I think we can get a premium for it. I think that's kind of why I did it. Had I left the mix match wheels and just used parts laying around the shop, I think it would have been a $1,500 machine. I really do. It just wouldn't look like a very nice, well-kept machine. Now it looks like somebody cares about this thing. This thing is sharp. You can put this in a parade if you want to. I think we just made a $2,500 machine. It runs and drives and stops. Just needs a really good bath, and you're off to the races. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I had to cut this up. I was going to let this video go Friday night, which is tonight actually. It's like 10 o'clock at night right now. I was going to let it go tonight, but the wheels came in and I thought, what better way? I think it was worth it. How it looked before to how it looks now. So as always, thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving. I made a post. I'm not a big post person, but I did make one. I'm not going to put any of my personal stuff out there, but for Thanksgiving, and I'll just kind of repeat what I made in this post, if I can. As we gather with our friends and family this Thanksgiving, let's remember the ones who aren't with us anymore, and let's hold on to the ones that are, and let's be thankful for the time we had with all of them. With that being said, thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving 2025, and I'll see you in the next one.